All right, I guess we're live right now. So I just wanted to give this really quick take here on the whole Black Superman run. I guess the camera's just fine. Um, I'll be perfectly honest, and let me go and give you the lowdown real quick if I can. Basically, the idea is that they are scrapping the Henry Cavill Superman, making a Black Superman film, and taking the movies of Wonder Woman, uh, and Wonder Woman 1984 and Aquaman, and going forward with the Ezra Miller's Flash. Um, and then they're going to insert a black Superman who's not like, what was it, the Calvin Ellis, I think his name is. Or you also have, oh, what's his name? The other guy, Val Zod, I think his name is. I'm not exactly familiar with their stories. I know of who they are. I know what their deal is and what their stories are. I know to some degree what the pretense of what they were made under. But for the most part, they're not going with that. They're just race swapping Kal-El. I'll be perfectly honest. My initial thoughts are this could work if they make it into a period piece in which Kal-El grows up, and let's say, for example, he lands in the world in the 1940s, for example, 1947, 1946, and he grows up during the civil rights movement. That would actually make for an interesting story, and especially if you set him in New Orleans, one which instead of crashing in Kansas and Smallville, he crashes in some, let's say, for example, some historic New Orleans black town. Perhaps uh, I don't know. Maybe there was some political situation in which the uh, black population of New Orleans gets fucked out of quite a bit in terms of their economic up and comings with regards to, I don't know, the World War II, because blacks did kind of get shortcommed when it came to, or shortchanged, I should say, with regards to like their earnings in World War II. So it's like that this could be an interesting story, but I don't think WB is really going to do that. Um, they've already announced that they're looking for a director, meaning that they have no idea where the fuck this story is going to go. They don't even have a basic idea set of, okay, if we have a black Superman, though, what is the setting going to be? I got it. New Orleans, and he's growing up during the civil rights movement, so he lands somewhere after the end of the World War II. Or hell, maybe even have him land sometime in the 1910s and 1920s, in which he still grows up in New Orleans, but ends up kind of dealing with, shall we say, a lot of racism. And he's like the original inspiration for the comic that we, shall we say, get, you know? Um, and we could play it off more or less one which this Superman isn't really being looking to be recognized because he's a black man. And once, of course, they find out that, hey, that he is being made into a comic, but he's being made into a white person, and let's just say, for example, he's being made by Jewish authors, we could have the actual real black Superman at the very end come out in a sense and reveal himself as actually being real. That would be an interesting story, and you could have it too in which it says, hey, he doesn't really age. So he's kind of, in other words, you have Wonder Woman in World War II, then you have Black Superman in New Orleans in like the uh, what was it, 1940s, maybe even ending with like an idea of like the sequel being going to World War II and literally fighting against the Nazis. I might, I think that would be a pretty good idea. But again, I don't think that they're really going to do that because WB seems to have no clue what the fuck they were doing. Zack Snyder, on the other hand, does know what the fuck they're doing. And by them, I mean, of course, Zack Snyder and his crew. He obviously is working with Patty Jenkins. He's obviously working with Jason Momoa. He obviously has, to a large degree, an understanding of where the movie is going to go. And he's even scraplined quite a few plot lines that we know of, at the very least, going forward. I wouldn't mind seeing a John Stewart Green Lantern if you really want to bring a black character onto the issue. Hell, if you want to make it an issue of racism, you could literally have it to in which he came back during, shall we say, the 9/11 war, having 2 or 3 tours there and getting shortchanged on quite a lot of his benefits due to his race and due to his familiar standing. Because, hey, if we give this guy benefits, is he going to use it to actually like improve his life and his lot, or is he actually going to give over to criminal activity because his entire family has been brought over to criminal crime since he's been overseas and he's been fighting in the war? You know, I mean, it could be an interesting story for Jon Stewart, if you want to put it that way. Or you could even have that have a similar plot line with Black Superman and his town being caught in a sort of gang war and gang riots, if you would, because they've been because like quite a few of the returnees, if you would, that came home from 9/11 did not get their actual fundings, if you would, did not get their actual benefits. That was a thing, by the way. That was a thing that happened. It was a huge controversy, and there was a huge issue with funding in that regard. I'm trying to remember what that was, how much it was. I think it was like 50 billion that was supposed to be allocated to resources in that regard, but they didn't really give away the benefits. But in all honesty, hey, if you want to put it that way, that would be an interesting story. But again, these are things that I don't think the WB is doing because they don't have any idea what the fuck they're doing. I think that's evidence of how they've been sort of they allowed Patty Jenkins to do her own thing without any fucking oversight whatsoever, which I think was a good thing in hindsight. And I mean, in at the time, if you would, but now in hindsight, doesn't seem to have worked very well. Whether or not you believe she's a rapist, I don't really know. I think that's pretty vague, in all honesty. I really don't know why they don't bother giving the reins over to Zack Snyder or giving the reins over to someone who has an idea of where to take these notions or whatever. Like, if they had me in the fucking studio, I'm don't mean to brag or anything, but I'll just end on this. If they had me in the studio, all they would have to do is just bounce ideas off of me, just say something to me about a character with a theme and an idea, and I could probably come up with a pretty good story myself. But hey, that's just me, and based on the fact that WB doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. That has more to speak about that than it does about my skills. So, peace. That's all I really want to say, and hope you guys at the very least took what I'm saying to heart in some regards. See ya.